we'll be talking about the Olympics. Japan has finally kind of, given up and joined everyone else who have been calling on Japan. Let us know what exactly your plans are, because they kept saying, "Hey, the Olympics is going ahead. Nobody worry, everything will be good." But as we now know, well, there has been confirmation of very different strains and variants of COVID 19 in Japan itself. And they finally said, all right, I like how Japan responded. They didn't say we're canceling it, they're saying we're postponing it to 2024. So it's not a no, it's just a no for now, but it still has a future. Now, here in Aotearoa, joining me this morning is Dr. Talemaitonga, GP and chair of the New Zealand College of GPs, the Pacific Quarter. Because, well, as we now know, there has been a confirmation of a community case of a New Zealander. I don't like it when people say the woman in Northland. It's a New Zealander who is based in Northland. We always do the separatism thing when it's not us. It's us and them, innit? We do it a lot. And we get done that a lot with Pacific Islanders. So let us be the source of correcting the narrative. A fellow New Zealander based in Northland. Anyway, that's enough of my rant, and you're not here to hear me. Right now, joining me is Dr. Apitala Maitonga to give us an idea about where we are at as a community. Yandara Vinaka, and welcome to the show, Doctor.
Nissan Bulavinaka Tawilili, and thank you for having me on.
I hate to say this, but I feel like it's here we go again. I feel like we are right in the here we go again. And now that we are here, what do we know about the South African variant today, Doctor, that you can share with us?
That it is one of the known variants that's been identified in the last month. Technically, it's called B.1.3.5.1, but it is one of those variants that is known to be more transmissible or is easily passed on, easier than the original. As you and I have discussed in the past, these variants are mutations of the virus. They're very clever, these organisms. They mutate, they change themselves so that they can survive a bit better. So being more easy to pass on just means that they're more infectious, not more serious, but they're more easy to pass on.
Now, this is very important for our communities because wearing them, if it means that it's faster or easier transmissible than the other variants, I think the adamancy around needing to wear a mask at all times, if it enters into our Pacific circles, and if anything, that should be part of the preemptive strike from now on in, because we never know whether there is already movement at the moment, given the 30 locations that this lady checked in. The question is this: how does it respond to the vaccines? Therefore, given that the nature, as you describe, is a easier transmissible variant of the original COVID.
Mm. The very good question. The makers of the vaccines have said that their vaccines, because they're so effective, in the 90 to 98% levels, that the variants are going to be covered by the vaccines that we already have. But as they always said, it's almost like backing themselves. They're looking at it continuously to make sure that nothing gets out of this where they might need to modify the vaccine.
The nature of these diseases, do they hit a plateau at some point, or will they continue evolving? What I'm pertaining to is this: at the moment, we've got the variants and those who are making vaccines, and I'm not quite sure. And you can probably let me know this in terms of what are we receiving? Are we receiving the Moderna? Are we receiving the Pfizer biotech? There's even the Corovac in China. I don't know. Are we looking at that? There's also the Ukraino that the Russians are developing as well, and they're all claiming quite high percentage. But where will it get? Are we looking at a point whereby somebody's going to admit that any future variant from here, and then they're going to say, well, guys, I think the effectiveness of our vaccine had actually stopped at the Brazilian one. Are we seeing that as a future potential, or no matter the variant, these vaccines are sort of structured to kind of capture them all eventually?
Mm. Uh, Fantastic question. I always point our community to the flu injection that we have for free for the over 65s every year. Every year, the flu vaccine is modified so that it can hopefully cover the variants that have emerged in the last 12 months. So we don't know the future of coronavirus, but I'm beginning to think that it might be one of those things where the vaccines will need to be modified in time, and it might be a yearly thing, who knows, to protect us from various variants.
Okay. So a good way to understand it is I like that example, given the flu, because it's funny though. We are so familiar with the flu now that when people catch it, be like, I'll get over it. But I wonder if when the first time the flu came out, people who were alive during that time freaked out the same way we are responding to COVID now. Because now it's, well, yeah, you catch a flu, stay home. And I wonder whether COVID will eventually
Yes.
become as such, because now with the vaccines that are coming in, which one are New Zealand receiving, by the way? Is that something that you are able to tell us?
Yes, so the government has very much ordered up to four different types of vaccines. So the Pfizer and Moderna one are definitely on the list. You're absolutely right. The government has politely declined the Russian and the Wuhan versions of the vaccines. But as the vaccines arrive, they will be prioritized for various people in the community.
Dr. Abia, I've been looking at these vaccines, right? I'm looking at the Russian one and the China one. I thought, if there is one place where you would say you've got a heavier test market, it will definitely be the one in China, because they've got enough people to, you know what I mean? Like, if you were to weigh it against the Oxford one and the Moderna one, I'm like, okay, which one has seen more of the market given the maximum of people? So I was wondering, maybe are we guilty of judging things based on country of origin, or should we just really give it a go? I mean, we never know. I mean, what's your take on that?
I think you're right, but we have a history as a country of working with other countries that have similar research protocols, similar scientific minds working together. We have a lot of New Zealand scientists like Dr. David Murdoch from the University of Otago in Christchurch, who works with the Oxford team in the development of that vaccine. So we're much more aligned to the ones that have been developed by European and American countries because of the similarities in our research minds and our protocols. And it makes it easy for the government's agency called MedSafe to assess these vaccines through standard protocols to make sure it is going to be safe with minimal side effects when it is approved for administration here in Aotearoa.
I think politics should be your next step, because you answered that quite diplomatically well. So there are no concerns anywhere from that response. Now, for our community, we have been telling them since COVID 2020 started, we're sorry, COVID 19, wash your hands, wear a mask. Please try and contact trace, because we are not faring well in that particular statistics, Doctor. I was even saying this morning that we now need to hold churches and halls and bingos wherever because it's true, isn't it? No matter what happens, it's like for us, a hug and a kiss, you just cannot say no to it. If not, somebody will judge you, even though it says purely in the big picture in front of you. Keep your hands to yourself. What other, what are other preparation or preemptive measures you'd like to inform our community today, on top of what we've already been telling them to do to prepare for this very transmissible of all the variants?
Completely agree with you. Pacific people are socially connected. You know, we are not kind of like cool and fist pump or elbow type shake people, although we try and do it. It's a very Pacific thing, and we've had to modify that slightly. But in addition to everything you've said, I just want to reiterate the fact that if you're not feeling well, cough, sore throat, or just a bit of a runny nose, please stay at home. It's the best way of protecting yourself so that you can get over the illness quickly and protect others that you might come into contact with. And a reminder, we're hearing about the long queues of wait in Northland. Anywhere in the country, if you're unwell and you're not getting better, call your GP. It's free to go in and have a test for COVID. If you can't get to the testing center or there's a long queue, call your GP or Healthline. They will advise you where to go and get a test, which I emphasize is free. And it's this woman. I really liked your intro. She set us a good example. She went to get a test, and leading up to that, she scanned everywhere she went in those few days. So it's been really helpful to our health authorities to contact trace her.
And I think most importantly, added to that, just being nice to our essential workers. I know it's frustrating you ending up in your car park for an hour or two, but at least you know after the test. And if you think that you're frustrated sitting in your car, imagine just the two poor people we saw in the news last night in Northland with the hundreds of vehicles. Everyone flustered, took their kids, only two people. So being nice. They're not foreigners. They are Kiwis like you and I. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think most importantly, please know that. But look, Dr. Abi, thank you for spending time with us. We might come back to you as this thing develops because so far, kere God, please. Just try and contain it up there so that we don't
Mm.
have to do away with our kisses and hugs and looking uncool trying to fist pump your grandma. Uh,
Nakavakalewu
yeah,
taulili.
that's it. Thank you very much. God bless. Talk to you again.
Thank you.
Well, it is now 13 minutes to 8 o'clock. Here is a Brighter Days by Ikolu right here in Pacific Breakfast, 531 PI, bringing Pacific people together.